Good morning, friends. It really is crazy town 24/7, or at least this entire show, because we are going to begin with the difference between what we talked about yesterday, what is happening on the screen that is sort of in Donald Trump's brain, the screen that he sees on his phone, on his computer, on the television, and what is happening in reality. And the thing, this propaganda, this theater that the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself is trying to project onto us, into our minds, is something we can resist best by laughing at it and by offering up very clear and very vivid and very accurate speech. And so today, for today's show, we are contrasting Crazy Town with the kind of leadership, the kind of voice we need. And so allow me, indulge me. I will play for you the Crazy Town music at the outset of the show. So let's start first. Donald Trump has done it again. For the third time in a few days, he has posted or shared on his Truth Social account some AI, something he's confused about. First, let me show you this, and then we can talk about it on the other side. Again, this is an AI video that he put up on Truth Social after he met with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, being the two members, the highest members of the Democratic leadership in the House and the Senate. Again, Jeffries, who is our Schumer, who is the Senate Majority Leader, and Jeffries, who would be our Speaker of the House, but instead is the just one step below. He's sort of at that ranking level, not Speaker of the House. This is a Democratic leadership. Trump met with them because they sat down to meet with him to talk about the budget. And then they did a press conference outside of the Oval Office, right there on White House grounds near the colonnade. And what Trump did is put up an AI video distorting what was said and how they looked. You be the judge.
Sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us. So we need new voters. And if we give all these illegal aliens free health care, we might be able to get them on our side so they can vote for us. They can't even speak English, so they won't realize we're just a bunch of woke pieces of shit, you know, at least for a while until they learn English and they realize they hate us too.
The President of the United States put this up on his Truth Social account yesterday. Racist, insulting, degrading doesn't even begin to capture how crazy it is. I can try to unpack this for you, but I do think you can see the message that he is putting in Chuck Schumer's mouth, something he did not say, is part of the white anxiety, the great replacement theory that somehow Democrats are trying to allow people to immigrate when we are a nation of immigrants in order to get voters and in order that the white Americans lose their majority. This is behind this. Playing the music in the background, the mariachi type music, having a sombrero and sort of a traditional stereotypical Mexican mustache on Hakeem Jeffries. You can see what that is about. and having Schumer badmouth the Democratic Party and also use profanity. This is what Donald Trump did after they bent the knee and decided to meet with him. Now, you know how I feel about being tougher in these negotiations, but they met with him in order that they could then say, we tried to talk with Donald Trump and he wouldn't negotiate with us. I would have taken a different approach. I would have said, this is your budget. If you want to fund your budget, which you got this budget passed without any Democratic votes, go ahead and get the funds appropriated without us. Yeah, you have this filibuster. You need to get to 60 to end debate, but you can get rid of the 60 rule. Go ahead. This is yours. Take it. We are not going to help you. And and I know, guys, I understand why Schumer and Jeffries did what they did. This isn't bad. This part is just a disagreement. They wanted to be able to show the American people, we fought for you. We said, we're not going to let you do this appropriation if you have people lose their affordable care, people's premiums that they're paying for their health care going from $500 to $5,000 a month. Basically, no one can afford that. I think I understand. They wanted to say, listen, we tried to fight for you. And this is on them. That's what they tried. I might have done something different. Nothing wrong with what they tried. But now let's take a look at the real video, the real press conference that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries held right there. Because I think if you actually see what they really said, we can see why it itself is a joke. Let's play that.
And for the first time since all of these issues started, even though we have requested repeated meetings with Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, and the President, we have very large differences on health care and on their ability to undo whatever budget we agree to through rescissions and through impoundment, as well as pocket rescissions. And I think for the first time, the president heard our objections and heard why we needed a bipartisan bill. Their bill has not one iota of Democratic input. That is never how we've done this before. When I was leader, we negotiated 4 times with Republicans, and we never had a shutdown. And so it's up to the Republicans whether they want to shut down or not. We've made to
guys, I almost fell asleep watching that. Can we break that down? That was the most boring thing I have ever listened to. There's no wonder that people would rather watch the AI bullshit, terrible stuff. Let me play what he said and tell you why it's a problem. Hold on, let's go back.
And for the first time since all of these issues started, even though we have requested repeated meetings with Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, and the President, we have very large differences on health care and on their ability to undo whatever budget we agree to through.
Okay. It starts out with this old kind of language as if they're dealing with normal people. Chuck, Americans know that Donald Trump, as you speak, is a lunatic, that he thinks that Portland is war ravaged because his people are showing him clips of videos from 2020 when people were objecting to the George Floyd murder. This is what the man thinks. This man is off his rocker. He's a hateful person. He lies over and over again. And you're going to stand up there, Chuck, and say they're not being reasonable. That we're trying to do the reasonable thing and they're not. That doesn't fly. So I'm going to continue playing this.
Undo whatever budget we agree to through rescissions and through impoundment.
I know what he's saying, but that's boring as fuck. Did you hear what he just said? He used lingo, very bland lingo. He said, oh, we're concerned about them having to be able to undo our budgets through revisions and impoundment. Don't talk like that on television. Here's what you say. We cannot trust Donald Trump and the Republicans. Look at what they have done. Money that Congress appropriated before he came into office, he is not spending. He has refused to spend money here and there. And they could say there was money that was supposed to go to USAID. There was money that was supposed to go to this. It was supposed to go to that. And Donald Trump refused to spend it. We don't want that to happen again. We believe, based on his past record of being untrustworthy, he'll do that. So what we're trying to make sure before any Democrat signs on to this appropriation is that it means something. Because they're trying to get us to say yes to something that they might not even follow. Donald Trump, given his track record, will take money in this budget that was supposed to go to a certain place and make it go to another place. So that's part of it. The second part of this is he's not even saying this budget is outrageous. There's a reason why we don't want to appropriate funds for the budget that Donald Trump and the Republicans created without a single Democratic vote. Their budget is unacceptable. This is what he should say. Their budget gives Steve Miller and the out of control ICE agents, like, what is it, 70 billion more dollars? We don't think that is appropriate, given that they are terrorizing the public, not identifying themselves, violently arresting American citizens. Violently arresting, $75 billion over 4 years. They're violently arresting American citizens. They're violently arresting and disappearing people who have been lawful residents of the United States when they promised just to go after the worst of the worst. And this budget steals health care from people who will go without medication, without cancer treatment. It's horrendous. That is why we are here for you. Do you hear any of those specifics from Chuck Schumer? The man is a failure. Now, it's not really fair for me just to criticize. And I don't criticize because I think everything's bad. I criticize because I've seen better. I've seen better. When you've seen someone perform music beautifully, or you've read poetry that you enjoy, whether it's from someone well-known or a friend who's written it and it just knocks your socks off. When you have had a good meal, when you've had a good conversation, you know the difference. So let me give you a contrast. Let me share with you yesterday, Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois at a press conference, speaking clearly and cutting through the nonsense. This is the kind of leader we deserve. There are others like him, but sure as hell, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are not. They are failing us. And as I said yesterday, even worse than negligence is supporting and praising Eric Adams, one of the most corrupt members of, one of the most corrupt public officials. And by the way, when I was saying Chuck Schumer is the Senate Minority Leader, I guess would you call Hakeem Jeffries the House Minority Leader? I don't always get the names right. Okay, let us play Pritzker. I've got 2 clips.
% of the individuals that ICE has taken in Illinois this year have no criminal convictions of any kind. ICE is running around the loop harassing people for not being white. Just a year ago, that was illegal in the United States. Now, ICE is making it commonplace. That's not making America great. In any other country, if federal agents fired upon journalists and protesters when unprovoked, what would we call it? If federal agents marched down busy streets, harassing civilians and demanding their papers, what would we say? I don't think we'd have any trouble calling it what it is: authoritarianism. So let's not pretend it's something else when it happens in our American cities. The MAGA Republican-supported invasion of Portland and Chicago and LA and Washington, D.C. is not making us any safer. Instead, it is putting our people in danger. This is an attack on neighborhoods, on lawful residents, on U.S. citizens. That's not preventing crime, as Donald Trump claims. That's public safety.
Now, part two.
With everything that we have. So, people of Illinois, we need your help. Get out your cell phones, record and narrate what you see. Put it on social media. Peacefully ask for badge numbers and identification. Speak up for your neighbors. We need to let the world know that this is happening and that we won't stand for it. I was surprised and pleased to see that a federal agent in New York was put on leave after he was caught throwing a woman to the ground. Good. Good. That would never have happened, though, if it wasn't on camera. So keep documenting. It could make a world of difference for someone, perhaps for all of us.
Clear gives us what is happening so we are not gaslighted, tells us what we can do. Now, I need to add a footnote, which some of you may know. That ICE officer who brutally threw a woman to the ground in a court building, yeah, he was removed, but he is back in his job now. So that is not great. Now, let me give you an example of peaceful protests in Portland. So you can see how people are bringing flowers and marching. Let's watch. And you hear the honking from people in support, tooting their horns, saying, "You go." This is how they're protesting ICE. And now look at laying down the flowers. This is a model. Please be this way. You're going to watch this for a little more. And I want to say, as you do, as we watch this, I'm turning on the volume a little bit. I want you to think about finding a No King's Day rally, October 18th. There are probably many in your state. I think there's for sure over 2,000. This is going to be bigger than the last No Kings protest. With that, the people who helped organize it, whether it's Indivisible or the No Kings group or 5501, whatever it is, I want you to know that there were around 5 to 6 million people. Now, I know there are other folks on the internet who said it was more. I'm trusting the organizers who believe that was the number. We need those numbers to go up. And I got a little more for you. I want to share now with you Maxwell Frost, the congressman from Florida, and he's speaking on MSNBC with Michael Steele. He's another person who speaks clearly And I have had Jasmine Crockett on here, not personally, but I've shown you her, what she has to say. Of course, Chris Murphy. So Crockett is a House member from Texas, Democrat. You have Chris Murphy, a Democratic senator from Connecticut, Jamie Raskin in the House in Maryland. I mean, Eric Swalwell, House from California. So many of them. Okay, don't think just because I am singling out, for example, J.B. Pritzker or Maxwell Frost, those are the only ones. Let's play Maxwell Frost talking about what Trump is doing and how we knew this is what he was going to do. Let's play it.
Things. Number one, it's scaring people so much where they feel like, let me not speak out against what Trump is doing. Maybe I won't do that press conference. Maybe I won't show up to that ICE detention facility. Maybe I won't do this, right? For fear of someone using the federal government and the full and total power of it to essentially have retribution on you and your family. And then the second thing is actually there being, I guess, consequences to things that you might have done. And this is part of what we're seeing happen across the entire country. And to be honest, this is something Trump said he would do. We all knew it from the beginning. We all knew it during the campaign. He said he would be a dictator on day one. The only thing he lied about is he meant, I want to be a dictator for the entire term. And you just look at the people he looks up to. He looks up to people like Putin. I mean, literally the day after he had that meeting, he's in the Oval Office talking about, I need to get rid of mail-in voting because Putin told me to do it. He's taking notes from dictators. He's taking notes from authoritarian figures. And it's not even about just like Democrat versus Republican here, too. It's about anyone who's against him.
Right.
So even Republicans who are in this party who think, well, as long as I'm a Republican, I'm OK. No. It's not about being a Republican. It's not about being a Democrat. It's about being pro-Trump and bowing down to a king. And that's what's wrong.
James Comey is.
Exactly. We need to stop it. And he is using, language that we need. He's using language that we need to hear. We need to hear from the leadership. And when we don't hear that, we know they're just not fit for the task. Now, I want to share with you, I showed you people at a protest with flowers. I also want to show you a video that's going around of a bicycle messenger, a guy on a bicycle who was kind of shouting maybe profanity at either National Guard or ICE agents. And I think this was in Chicago. And at one point, he's on his bike and his phone drops. So he circles back on the street to pick up his phone and they go to get him. There was no reason to attack him. He was just using his voice. I'm going to share this with you. Someone has scored it to the Benny Hill music. And I'm going to have to stop that because I can't have that music on here. So I'm just going to show you the video. Here we go. Let's watch. So see, he leans over to get his phone and the guy shouts, you can't hear it, get him. And they try to go after him in their gear. And they fail. Okay. Now, let's also look at what we are seeing members of the police who are themselves being, they're being mistreated. And I don't know, you know what? I don't have that shot. I apologize. There are members of the police who have been mistreated by the federal law enforcement in their cities. Now, I want to next share with you the theater that we are getting from, and this is part of Crazy Town. For example, Governor Landry of Louisiana. When you're a governor of a state, you can call in the National Guard at any time. It's under your command. The only reason why there are these debates and disputes about the National Guard being in cities in California, cities in Illinois, and so on, is because the governors did not want them there. And instead, Pete Hegseth decided to nationalize, to federalize the National Guard and put them in anyway. So Mitch Landry, the governor of Louisiana, goes on television to say to Donald Trump, I invite you, bring in the National Guard. Please, please bring them into New Orleans. This is such stupid theater. He could do it on his own, but I want you to see what he is doing here. Let's play it.
It is. President Trump has amassed the best cabinet of public servants and folks who really want to fight crime, like General Bondi.
Okay, this is the bow to Trump audience of one. This is disgusting.
Secretary Noem, FBI Director Kash Patel. These folks know how to keep Americans safe. And you know what? Tonight, we're sending the Department of War a request to send the National Guard, asking them to deploy the National Guard here in Louisiana into our cities like New Orleans and Baton Rouge and others, so we can continue to reduce the amount of violence on our streets. Why would you not want your citizens to be safe?
Yeah, such a good.
Well, I do want my citizens to be safe, but you don't need to ask Donald Trump or the Secretary of Defense or calling the Secretary of War to bring them in. I thought Republicans believed in states' rights. I thought they wanted limited government. I think the local police, under the control of the local elected officials, is how we want to do this. We don't want to normalize inviting federal troops coming from orders from Washington into the cities. He could have done it himself. He did not need to even ask permission or ask for assistance, but he's doing it to suck up to Donald Trump. Okay, guys. So I got a few more things for you in the category of crazy town, in the law, money, and power realm. Let me first play for you Eric Trump. We haven't heard a lot from him recently. And I'm not even giving you a preamble to this. Listen up to what he had to say on Fox News.
Wire transfer, payment that's coming into one of the hotels or leaving one of the hotels. And if you don't send it by 4 o'clock on a Friday, it's not getting there until like Monday afternoon. And you're sitting there saying, why can I send hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin overseas instantly or receive it instantly with virtual?
Yeah, I'm sitting around, me and all the other ordinary Americans, asking myself why I can't send $100 million worth of crypto, of Bitcoin, overseas in an hour. Why I can't do that instantly. Yes, that's what we're doing. We're definitely not thinking about grocery prices, whether we can afford to send our kids to college. We're definitely not thinking about our neighbors being dragged out of their homes and disappeared. We're certainly not thinking about about the farmers losing billions of dollars of sales. We're certainly not thinking about not being able to afford medication. We're all thinking about, damn it, let's fix this so we can have $100 million worth of Bitcoin transferred somewhere in an instant. Thank you, Eric. And also, thank you, Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you, Chuck Schumer, especially Chuck Schumer, for pushing with Kristen Gillibrand, Democratic senators, to support, and I'm saying thank you sarcastically, but we have this bullshit because you bow down to the crypto billionaires, so afraid of them that they will primarily kick you out of office, that you let them create this grift monster. Let me continue.
No fees. Bitcoin's the way of the future. American Bitcoin, which is the company that I founded, I'm very, very proud of. I think it's going to be one of the great Bitcoin companies anywhere in the world. And clearly, there's no doubt in my mind, cryptocurrency is going to replace traditional finance, TradFi, and it's happening so fast. I mean, cryptocurrency is literally outpacing, the growth of the internet, in the 90s, Charles. And I've never been so clear about something. I've never been able to see something so clearly.
Oh my God, is he that dumb? Do you remember the internet growth in the 90s and the .com boom? Hello, pets.com. Eric Trump pushing his crypto company. Donald Trump being able to take $2 billion into his stable coin, a form of crypto. This shit is happening because we allowed it. And I say we, I mean it couldn't have happened without the Democratic leadership. What are they actually doing for us? Now, again, I want Democrats to be in office. I am horrified that we got these Supreme Court justices in place that overturned Roe versus Wade. But let me remind you, the minute, and I said this, the minute Joe Biden got in office, he should have expanded the court. Fuck everybody. He had Congress, didn't he? Why didn't he do it? Why didn't he do it? The commission they put together wasn't enough. Okay, that is water under the bridge. Now, before I get to the final crazy town, I want to share with you the craziest plan that Trump has ever had. No, one of the craziest that he promised. Remember his whole thing about clean coal, how he wants to bring back coal jobs? I'm going to play for you how Secretary Wright here is wrong on the need and the promise of coal. Let me play this for you and then I'll give you the data.
News for us this morning. Tell us.
Yes, Maria, we're announcing today expanded programs to help the American coal industry. And we're helping it just because for years it's been under assault. It was out of fashion with the Chardonnay set in San Francisco, Boulder, Colorado, and New York City, where I just was at Climate Week. But it's critical to America's industrial might, not just for electricity, as you mentioned. It's our third largest source of electricity after natural gas and nuclear. But we also use it. It's the backbone of steel production. It's critical for cement production. Coal just makes the world go round. And they've tried to strangle it, particularly the Biden administration, starting with the Obama administration. But we need the coal industry. We're stopping the strangulation.
The coal industry does not make the world go round. Just saying it's fourth does not make it best. It's much more expensive than other forms of energy. And it is crazy that they are pushing coal to also this sort of, in terms of data. Right now, the coal mining industry in the United States employs about 42,000 people, okay? And you've heard that it's declining, but guess what? When I was in high school back in the 80s, for example, 1986, right around that time, the coal industry employed 169,000 people, okay? Now, I know that's a huge decline, but let's actually talk about the Chardonnay class that he is mocking. Let's talk about the American wine industry. Okay, the American wine industry employs and supports 1.84 million jobs. Direct employment by the wine industry in the US is over 1 million people, okay? And there are additional jobs that are supported by the wine industry. Okay, so that's interesting. Now, you might say, okay, well, what about these jobs that are mostly, men, I guess? That's maybe what they're getting at, these coal jobs. How do we compare it to other industries that employ a majority that are more dominated by males? Let's look. Construction employment data. And, I'm getting this from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So the construction data, sorry, I had these figures. I think they're over 10, hold on, U.S. construction, okay? The number of employees in the construction industry now appear to be close to 8 million employees, right? These numbers are going up. I mean, I saw someone saying that more people work in cheesecake factories than work in the coal industry. Coal is expensive. It's not clean. It's not necessary. And again, this is part of the political theater. Donald Trump wants this, and so he will just absolutely ignore reality. Now, again, I got a couple more things before I get to the final crazy towns, some slides to share with you today. So remember that as soon as Cuomo dropped out, we got this headline: New York City mayoral candidates move to capitalize on Adams' departure. This also says Zohran Mamdani and Curtis Sliwa hit the campaign trail on Monday after Eric Adams left the race, while Andrew Cuomo called donors. What did Zohran Mamdani say in response to that? Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Yeah. Cuomo is the billionaire's candidate. Cuomo is Hakeem Jeffries' candidate. Cuomo is not a candidate for the people. Now, I want to also share with you from the news. This is also from the New York Times from yesterday. This is, I'm showing you here about the dangerous misuse of federal force against citizens in the United States. Quoting this from the Times. Federal officers then deployed tear gas on the crowd, broke his windshield, cast pepper spray on his face, and took him into custody. He said, as they're walking me away, I'm telling them, I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm American. I am a veteran. I didn't do anything wrong, he said. He was held for 3 days without a phone call. Why isn't that what they lead with? We can't trust the Trump administration with this money. They should not have $75 billion for this. Now, speaking of Stephen Miller, I think this is another fave in the crazy town, but not the final crazy town. His wife, Katie Miller, got pissed off. She got disturbed because there was an episode of Law and Order that NBC just ran, Law and Order SVU, and it portrayed ICE agents allowing rape of people they were apprehending. So Katie Miller is upset, right? Because this is the big project of the Republicans and the Trump administration, is part of the culture wars, and they keep losing. They wanted to take, they really wanted to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. They failed at that because the people voted with their wallets. And at the end of the day, these businesses understood they needed Jimmy Kimmel more than they needed Donald Trump. Now she's pissed off about an episode of Law and Order. But as you know, or may know if you watch the show, Law and Order is based on real life stories. And as someone who goes by the name Coach Finstock on Blue Sky said, in response to Katie Miller being upset, because Law and Order often writes episodes based on news stories, and your own ICE page says it's something that happens. And this was archived. It was from an U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement website. It says, former ICE special agent arrested on federal civil rights charges that he alleged he sexually assaulted 2 women. Okay? So the story that she was upset about seeing was from reality. Unlike what Donald Trump does, which is put AI videos that have nothing to do with reality. Now, my final thing, my final crazy town. Let's get a little dose more of the crazy town song. It's crazy, but it's always nice to see Donald Trump's brain glitching and his mind on the fritz. Let's listen. He was at a press conference where Benjamin Netanyahu had been visiting him in the White House. Context here is that Israel and the United States came up with what they consider a deal for the Palestinian people. Now, they did not include Hamas in this, and that's fine, but there was no one representing Palestinian people or Palestinian leadership at all. And they're saying, take it or leave it. That's not really a deal. And it involves Israel still occupying parts of the West Bank. Doesn't seem to involve any rebuilding that I can see. And also nothing about Palestinian statehood. So that aside, this is Donald Trump. He didn't take questions at the press conference. he tried to read from his remarks, but had trouble speaking. Let's watch.
Time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al Thani was of Qatar. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought.
Low energy, pathetic. So, what's on tap for today, guys? Something to watch out for. Today, as we were speaking, I believe, I haven't checked the news, Pete Hegseth was having his big boy meeting where he who is in the National Guard and he who was kicked out or not, apparently wasn't allowed, was rejected from helping guard the White House, I think, guard the Capitol, like was going to be doing that for January 6th. I don't recall exactly, but he was not the most beloved member of the National Guard. He also, every job he had after leaving the Guard, when he had these sort of job at vets organizations, he was kicked out for malfeasance. He has a long history of alcohol abuse, allegations that he'd come to work on the set of Fox News drunk. That he, allegations that he sexually assaulted women and so on. He is now the defense secretary. He wants to beat his chest and call himself the Secretary of War. And so to flex his muscles, he has called in all these generals, hundreds of them from across the globe, to listen to him speech. What we're also reading in the Daily Beast, and sorry, that was supposed to happen to the beginning today at 9. What we're also reading, I think it was in the Daily Beast, is that he is freaking out, that he is on edge, that he is having, his wife is so worried after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and one can understand that, about her own safety. They have extra security. Apparently they have 3 homes. And so they've got high level of security around them. And he is barking at people. He is off the chain. As you also know, they're not letting reporters report on the Pentagon unless they pre-clear what they're going to say. And you might say, well, what if they don't? What if they don't? They can't come back in. So we're not seeing as many leaks as we used to be seeing. I do hope something leaks from today's meeting. We need to understand what this was about. And finally, today is September 30th. And so the government may be shutting down after midnight. We shall see. Or maybe Schumer and Jeffries will capitulate to something and do maybe a 7-day agreement to fund the government. Whatever they're doing, it's pathetic that I can see. They haven't figured out how to manage the message. They haven't figured out how to be authentic, or if this is who they authentically are, they need to step aside. I have great hopes for the future of this country because I actually believe that this overreaching and this nonsense is going to be too much for people. I'm more concerned about all these multi-billionaire grifters, but there have always been billionaire grifters. They're just richer than the rest of us and hopefully more miserable. And with that, I bid you adieu, and I will see you bright and early October 1st.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Gen Taub Show. Well, welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There is hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Gen Taub Show.